Welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show, the Suicide Squad is getting jiggy with it in the rundown.
Plus, we get wild with a new look at The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt.
And then we enter the ring with a mobile version of Mortal Kombat X. Also coming up, we take a look back at some classic Mortal Kombat action, review the documentary Atari Game Over, and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day, and I'm about to go on a suicide mission to deliver a very cool thing. It's called The Rundown. Take a look at the most ruthless group of thugs the new DC Cinematic Universe has to offer. Warner Brothers has released the first official photo of the new Suicide Squad, including Will Smith as Deadshot, Margot Robbie as Harlequin, and Joel Kinnaman as Rick Flag. This follows the recent unveiling of Jared Leto as the film's new version of the most iconic DC bad guy, the Joker. The Suicide Squad is a group of captured supervillains who carry out dangerous Black Ops missions for the U.S. government in exchange for their freedom. The new film will hit theaters in 2016 and is one of many new titles in the DC universe that also includes Batman vs. Superman and the upcoming Justice League movies. And you'll be able to play as a classic DC do-gooder for the first time in Batman Arkham Knight. The new game's Season Pass will include extra missions where players take control of Batman's butt-kicking ally, Batgirl. She's appeared in the previous Arkham games, but this is the first time that she'll actually be playable. The Season Pass will also include extra story missions for Batman and other characters, along with new challenge maps, character skins, and classic versions of the Batmobile. The only problem is that, as many fans have pointed out, the game's Season Pass will cost a whopping $40, which is a lot more than most other games. Players will just have to decide for themselves if it's worth it when Arkham Knight arrives on June 23rd.
Sure. Is this what I think it is?
We got a lot of Batman stuff to talk about. That puts a big smile on my face. Here to help me talk about this stuff is my pal Marissa Roberto.
Cheeks. I just want to pinch them when you talk about Batman. I love it.
I'm supposed to look manly when I talk about Batman. All right, so we've got the Arkham Knight Season Pass is set at $40.
Yeah.
Do you want to spend that other $40 and get all the extra? Do you want to play as playable Batgirl in her own separate mission?
Hold the phone here for a second, because you know how I am with my purse strings. So no, I don't want to spend all that dough. And then I kind of start feeling like, shouldn't this just all be part of the main package? Shouldn't we all get the same things if we're all fans of this game? I just feel like I want to pay one price, and that's it. And that's how I'm starting to feel about every game now with the DLC that comes out later. Like, why wasn't this just here in the first place?
Well, you know how the economy of video games has greatly changed over the last little while. It takes a tremendous amount of effort for these developers to keep building these huge AAA universes and experiences for us. And I think that there's been so much hype and build-up and delay and expectation and money poured into this thing that they couldn't make it all fit within the and you're getting a ton in the straight game anyways.
I don't know, Vic. I feel like they can make it all
They
fit,
could.
but we just need to now follow these rules of the way games are released now and how we have to wait for more things.
Well, I think if you're in that boat, you wait an extra year and you get the Game of the Year, or you get the complete edition, you know? But if you want it all now, you'll be buying it all now. All right, now more Batman news, or sort of a tangent of Batman news, is the Suicide Squad images are starting to be revealed. We've seen Jared Leto in the, is it Leto or Leto?
I say Leto.
Leto, Jared Leto. We've seen him in the Joker visage.
I like this photo of him. I like it. I feel like it's a very new age Joker. I feel like this is the crazy guy that you can see on the street now. So I totally buy this.
Even with the tats and all that?
With all the tats, because I just feel like, okay, if you're gonna go that way, he went that way and he went all for it. And I think that's the kind of character he would be.
Now, the Suicide Squad image does not impress me at all, and it kind of terrifies me about the quality of the movie because it looks like a bunch of cosplayers, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, but also, how else could they have made just a generic photo look? I feel like they were just shooting the movie, and then they just said, okay, you guys get to this wall right here, we're gonna take a photo.
They finally got the whole cast all together, which is another problem. Look at the enormous size of this cast, including we have a guy playing Killer Croc.
Yes.
You know, like, is that gonna be a high point on that guy's resume?
No, because there's not enough time for us to get to know all these characters. I just know a few of them. So getting to know all of them in this movie is going to be too much. But right now, we've got a little story on The Witcher 3, thanks to me.
Tough hunt. Tougher than yours, that's certain. Geralt is a witcher. And what's a witcher? A witcher is a bounty hunter, so I think monster slayer for hire, really. That's probably the best way to describe him. So he will travel around the land, and whenever someone needs help with a monster, killing a monster, or dealing with anything, he can decide to just accept the challenge and that way earn some money. So he's a bit of a mutant as well. He's a very powerful character. Always carries 2 swords with him. A silver one that he will use against monsters, and a steel one that he will use against humans. So we've added a lot more as well. Now you can have a crossbow if you want. You can utilize bombs, items, potions, you name it. You also have these spells called signs, and they're like combat spells, so you can level them up. You can level up pretty much anything you want, depending on what you're really good at, whether it's combat, you want to unlock new moves, or maybe it's the spells, like I said, or maybe it's the potion making, crafting. So really, we just give you the freedom to, well, role play.
As a witcher, you have to prepare yourself when hunting down monsters. You can't just run in with your sword held up high, because you'll die. You have to know what monster you're meeting, what's his behavior, how to prepare. Should I take any potions? Should I put some oil on my sword, etc.? Or should I mask my smell? Can it smell me? There are some monsters, so you have to mask your smell.
Does morality play a huge part in this game if I choose maybe not to help someone, or maybe choose to charge someone when maybe I shouldn't?
Yeah, it is quite a big deal. But you ended the sentence by saying helping someone that maybe I shouldn't. It's never that really black or white. You know, it's not okay. You picked the wrong choice. You helped a bad guy end off. No. It's always. There's a lot more to it, and often the consequences are not going to come in until much later on down the line, many hours into it, that you will remember, okay, yes, I did that, and that happened. So.
I feel like this game is massive, and you guys have boasted that it's 20% bigger than Skyrim, and Skyrim is freaking huge. So how do you expect me to dive into this game and not play any other? What is the hook here? What have you got that no other game has right now?
We have a truly unique story that's so intensive, and together with an open world that's not just generic, it's lots of things going on, and if you want to, you can dive into it. I mean, we say that it's about 50 hours main story and 50 hours side quest. Truth is, it's probably a little bit more, but that's the minimum, right? So it's crazy massive, but pulls me in every time I play it in the office, and you work with the game, and you try and fix something, and you find yourself you lost in a game, and it's a good sign as a developer when you get lost in your own game, working on it. I want to play my own game.
The Witcher 3 Streets on May 19th. You might as well start lining up, people.
Don't go anywhere, because after the break, Vic and I go toe-to-toe with Mortal Kombat X. Get over here.
Join your beat down.
Welcome back to EP Daily. Mortal Kombat is not only available for the home consoles, it's available for your iPhones as well.
Marissa, everyone knows that fighting games don't work on your phone.
Okay, you know what? Why don't you just try to open your mind a little bit? That's what Vic and I did with this review.
Well, listen, you open your mind.
Yeah,
super burn.
EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Dungeon Hunter 5, which you can play for free on iOS and Android right now.
Sub-Zero. You have eyes, but will not see.
Vic and Scott played a little Mortal Kombat X on the consoles, and guess who gets the mobile version?
You do.
Marissa.
I was smiling on the console. Scott was not. The mobile version has historically been, with the way that NetherRealm has been doing this, they did this with Injustice and the Batman Arkham games that they made. They taper down some of the core bits of the experience that we know and love from the console games. They use some pretty high fidelity visuals, but you don't get the same game, and it also plays differently than the Mortal Kombat core experience. It's 3 cards tiled together. Each of the characters jumps in whenever they want to.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point. This is basically a card game mixed fighting game. So you're constantly having to collect cards, and then what you do is continually go back to that to collect more and more. So the addiction comes with the card collection. So I'm addicted to that because I do love the addictive behavior that I, for some reason, get playing these games.
It's about obsessive compulsion disorder, I think, this kind of stuff, right?
What it feels like mobile games are.
You're collecting the cards, collecting with a K.
Collecting coins and cash with a K.
Yes, until you feel the need to spend. And that's what they're hoping for out of this experience.
Which you will after a few different towers that you get to. So in each tower, there are 5 different battles that you need to roll out, which is fun. I mean, the battles are a lot of fun here, and I love the animation off the top. I thought it was so beautiful. The visuals were lovely. I was just so impressed the whole time I was watching it. Wow, this is really nice.
The art is incredible in this, but I am playing the console game with a K, and it's really fun on the console, and this just feels so neutered. And I said this with the console review. I like these characters. They're cool. I have always enjoyed the Mortal Kombat collection with a K, but I prefer Injustice and the superheroes that I get to play with, so I will spend happily hours playing Injustice because I love the collecting of those superheroes. With these ones, it's pretty cool that you'll get Scorpion, or you can unlock Sub-Zero or Katana or whatever. You know, you'll get them, and I like Cassie Cage, and I like the new introduction of the Generation storyline in there. But they don't have the same heart and the same pull for me. It's not like, oh my God, I gotta get all that stuff.
It's tough to have heart or soul in a game like this because you're right, it is a neutered version. Although it is very violent.
Yeah, you get the gore.
You do get the gore. I mean, you get the slicing and the brains coming out and all that fun stuff.
Join your beat down.
My biggest thing with this is that it's more eye candy than thumb candy, and Mortal Kombat needs to be thumb candy too.
Good point.
But it's still pretty cool, and it's something to applaud that this stuff gets out there for us, you know?
Okay.
But a true portable version of Mortal Kombat X would be awesome. I don't know if that's coming to the Vita. I don't think it's coming to the new 3DS.
Well, we got a little card ditty on our iOS devices, so what are you scoring Mortal Kombat X?
Gets a 7. How about you?
That's very fair. I'm giving it a 6.
There you go, Marissa. I told you. I told you.
First of all, no one likes a gloater, so why don't you just take a little time out and let former EP host Tommy Tellerico take over?
Oh man, Tommy's here. You know, I thought he was here. I could smell Lamborghini gas and the garlic.
We're going to talk about Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance now for the Xbox. Of course, it's also up for the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube. Now, what'd you think of this one?
Well, Ed Boon is back, and now we finally get Mortal Kombat on the next generation systems.
In full 3D.
Full 3D,
right.
Full modeled characters, full motion capture. This is the deal. The environments aren't as interactive as, say, a Dead or Alive 3.
Or Tekken.
The animation still, to me, felt a little stiff.
It's not as fluid. It's not that graceful Virtual Fighter Tekken kind of motion.
Still got the over-the-top blood. When you punch, it just puddles spurt out everywhere.
Well, that's part of the humor. And to be honest, it's all 3D blood now, and it's flying in all different directions, and that's kind of funny. There's characters that actually barf on the ground, and you can slide and slip and fall into that.
But it's easy to control the characters, which is nice. But the great thing about this Mortal Kombat is all of the extras that they've put in the game. They actually have this new Conquest mode. Everything's spelled with a K, by the way.
That's right, yes.
So it's Conquest.
That's right.
You take them through this journey, and I like that. It wasn't just strictly straight a fighting game.
Like Soul Calibur. Remember Soul Calibur had that sort of mission mode? It's similar to that, but this one is not as good as that, because Soul Calibur is still the best fighting game ever made.
You love that one.
I love that game.
So this one has combat mode, and you can get coins with a K.
It's cool collecting all the different coins, and when you go into the crypt, spelled with a K, you can unlock all the different sort of...
crap, spelled with a K.
That's in the game, like movies and all kinds of little unlockable stuff in there. There's character art and extra costumes and all that stuff, and there's tons of unlockable characters as well.
Not spelled with a K.
No, there's about 20 of them in this game, and there's some new ones, and there's some returning favorites. There is only one fatality, however, per character.
That's right, but they're in 3D.
They are in 3D.
So now you can pull somebody's heart out, rip their spine out of their head in 3D.
One of the new things about the game is that they've actually added 3 different fighting styles for each of the characters. So there's 2 different sort of kung fu type moves, and they each have their own stances, and then everybody also has a weapon, so you can have some weapon combat. A lot of the combos with the K happen as you switch between the different fighting styles.
You know one thing I did want to say?
What's that?
Mortal Kombat! Okay. Just had to get that out.
Yeah, it's fun saying that, isn't it?
Mortal Kombat has always been and always will be.
It was nice to see how much extra effort they put into building this game out. It's really competitive with the best of the fighters out there.
There's even a making of section with Ed Boon, and you can follow him through like an 18-hour recorded session, and they took the best bits of those 18 hours.
I really enjoyed Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
I'm giving it an 8. I really like the extra effort they put in to make it not just a fighting game.
Yeah, I don't care how you feel about Tommy, and I don't know if you can tell, but I don't like him at all. Those two, Vic and Tommy, had man chemistry, for sure.
And look how real we are on the show. Listen, don't go anywhere, because after the break, we've got Atari Game Over.
That's where Atari buried E.T., the worst video game of all time.
Welcome back to EP Daily. A million years ago, long before there were any cell phone games, there was no light in the universe. The only bit of light we had was provided by the Atari 2600. So what is the Atari 2600? Vic and Marissa find out in their review of Atari Game Over.
Alamogordo is best known for is its landfill, the dump. Because supposedly, that's where Atari buried E.T., the worst video game of all time.
Even though it was before my time, the Atari made a lot of really cool games.
Rubbing it in.
No, I don't mean to rub it in, of course. But one of the games that made history was E.T., the video game, which is based off of course, the movie. And this game was made by one man. And this is the game that's featured in a documentary called Atari Game Over that you can find on Netflix. I did not know the story. Like many people, I only knew the story of this game that was horrific, that it always makes the top 10 list of worst video games of all time. And they do suss that out in the documentary, as well as a little bit of history with the Atari. But then jumping into the actual backstory of Atari and the world that was happening in video games, like they were the gods of Silicon Valley. And I didn't even realize the rock star mentality that went into all the people that worked for Atari at the time.
I mean, games always get forgotten as the Trojan horse for computing. You know, they're always the thing that allows people to kind of access monitors and computing language and computer interfaces. And back in those days, in the early 80s, Atari was where it was at. And, you know, Steve Jobs famously worked there. And Howard Scott Warshaw, who is the star of this documentary, who is an amazing guy. I've met him a few times, and he's a very, very odd, strange character, as you can see exemplified in this documentary. But he is so passionate and so fun to listen to and so articulate and emotional in this doc. And I think it's great that he gets championed by this movie. I think it's great. Zach Penn is the director of the film. He's a writer in Hollywood that's worked on some pretty big blockbuster movies, but he's such a big game geek, he wanted to do something on this. Personally, I've always wanted to examine all of this as well. And we've interviewed Nolan Bushnell and some ex-Atari people in our day as well. But this was really well done with fantastic camera work and access to some really great people. And a whole bunch of true believers all show up to the dig in the desert, which I think is the marquee moment of this whole documentary.
For sure. The climactic moment of the documentary. But that's the thing. We just came from watching another documentary that I did not enjoy involving the video game industry. And this one completely bent the other way. It was fantastic. I love the way the story was told. I love that it made me believe in this man where this history already happened. Like, he went through so much crap and garbage because he had to make this game in 5 weeks. One man had to make a game in 5 weeks because, you know, they had to pull out with the season, the Christmas season, so he had to push it. And I guess just at that time, you have this ego and you think you can do all these things because you're working for this gaming company that has so much money. You work hard and you play hard. Which is exactly what it seemed like they were doing.
There was probably some sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
For sure.
At the offices of Atari in Milpitas, California, you know.
Which seems like a really cool time to be living and a cool movement to be a part of, but then to have this moment and have it all be taken from you in an instant and have this job go away and for your whole life to search for that feeling again. That's the emotion that you feel from this man in this interview. And I felt like all the interviews were fantastic and the direction was great, and I loved how there was humor put into it as well. And I just think it's showing us that their business is cyclical.
You know what? This is a fascinating thing, and I encourage everybody that's watching us, watching this show, and watching the work that we do. This is right up your alley.
Totally.
What are you going to give Atari Game Over?
It gets an 8.5.
8.5 from me as well.
Ironically enough, Vic and I also have a hot tub in our office, though I'm pretty sure that Tommy Tallarico used to use it. There were some garlic cloves in the filter where they drain it. Coming up after the break, we've got the Twitter question of the day after this.
If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to EP Daily. It's time now for the best part of today's show and everyday show, for that matter. It is the Twitter question of the day. This one comes from Zach Ellingson. He's at RedBera223.
222 must have been taken.
That's the one. What was your absolute favorite movies when you guys were growing up besides Star Wars?
Oh, I had so many. I love movies so much, and we did talk about a lot of my favorite movies in our top 100.
Yeah.
Superman the movie, I think, the Richard Donner movie. I think about that all the time. It was just a beautifully crafted love letter to comics and the character, and it was a really transformative film. Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite film of all time, though, and I saw that when I was quite young.
Okay, I'm a bit younger than you.
Okay,
I was obsessed with The Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Forever in my younger days. And then I remember being obsessed with The Iron Giant. As well, which is such a fantastic movie, and every time I'm so excited it's on Netflix now.
Yes.
To get to watch it over and over again like we did when we were younger.
My daughter's still a little bit too scared of everything in there, but it's an amazing movie. Great question. Get caught up on our top 100 for lots of great discussion about the best movies ever made. And you can get caught up on all kinds of other stuff at epn.tv.
We've got more coming for you in the next episode of EP Daily, including a look at the multiplayer behind Splatoon.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox.
One of them is called the Splat Roller. It looks like a paint roller, and you can just hold down the fire button, and you're just rolling ink all around the ground. Another one is called the Splat Charger. It's more of a long-range rifle that you're able to kind of snipe people with. You can hold down to fire, and it kind of fires this like straight line that you can then turn into a squid. Each weapon comes with its own strengths and weaknesses.